I'll never forget when I got my driver's license and I owned my first car and I went to school for the first time all by myself. This sense of pride, freedom. But with freedom and with ownership comes responsibility. It's like a coin. There's two sides of the coin, and you can't have the coin unless you accept both sides. On one side of ownership, you have the joy, the freedom, the pride, and on the other side, you have the responsibility. You have the work, the practice, the maintenance. You have the consequences that come with your actions. Now, the coin has value. It's worth getting, but you need to accept both sides of the coin. So let's start today's lesson on ownership. To own something means to possess it. It's yours. Some things you own by paying a price for them, like a new pair of shoes. And you're proud of them because you paid a price for them. Kind of like when you win a game or when you get good grades on a test. Some things you possess because they happened to you or were given to you. Let's take some examples. Whether you were born tall or you were born short, you possess your height. It's yours. You can't choose any different. What you can choose is if you want to own it, if you want to accept it. My brother and my father are both taller than me by 4 inches. So for most of my life, I wished I was taller. I didn't want to own the fact that I was 5'11". Now some people might say 5'11" isn't short at all, but I wanted to be 6'3". In my speech, I say, how you see yourself determines what you make of yourself. If you don't like something about yourself that you can't change, well, then you're just wasting your time and making yourself miserable. I know it's easier said than done, but take ownership of the good and the bad that you've been given in your life and make the most of it. See the benefits. For example, I fly almost every week to a different speech. And if I were 6'3", it would be way more uncomfortable on those tiny planes where you're rubbing elbows with strangers. So see the benefit. Let's now talk about things you possess that were given to you. Some of you might have had to buy your own phone, but others got one from your parents. We all know that we take care of Some of you might have had to buy your own phone, but others, maybe your parents gave it to you. Now we all know that we take better care of things that we pay for. They mean more to us. We have more invested into them. I think that's why it's hard for many people to appreciate school. Because they didn't choose to go to school. They have to. Even though it's a privilege and some countries don't have education and therefore don't have as many opportunities as we do, we still take it for granted. So we are not as responsible with studying and taking ownership of our education. I went on a mission trip to Honduras and I saw some areas where they had no running water or air conditioning. I suddenly was immediately grateful for what I had back in the U.S. My point is, don't take for granted what has been given to you. The opportunity to learn, to play sports, to participate in clubs. Whether you have earned something, been given something, or born with something, you possess it, and you're responsible for it.
Do you remember in my speech how I talked about my dance student, Joanne? Joanne was born with caudal regression. Her legs never developed, but she always wanted to dance. And then one day she stopped wishing and she's decided to take action. You see, she was born without legs, but she made the best of it. Also, she was given an opportunity to learn how to dance. But she earned it because she put the work and effort in to make it happen.
Responsibility is like a weight. It can weigh you down or it can make you stronger. Like a bank account. You can just let the money sit there or you can invest it and make it grow with interest so that when you're done with high school, you have more than when you started. You have more knowledge, more skills, more confidence, more experience.
But just because you possess something doesn't mean you're taking ownership of it. To take ownership means to accept the responsibility, to accept both sides of the coin.
So let's talk about how you can take better ownership of your own opportunities and responsibilities. 1. Set reminders. Set reminders for your responsibilities because if you're like me, you can easily forget unless it's on your calendar on your phone. 2. Set incentives. For example, once I do what I need to do, then I reward myself by doing whatever I want to do. By doing this, you feel better about yourself and you can enjoy your reward because you earned it. 3. Set examples. When you own up to who you are and own up to doing things right, people will notice and they will think more highly of you. You have an opportunity to impact others. Own it. I love this talk about ownership because that's my motto, own it. You know, you might remember my speech where I give the spoken word and I say, what do you want and why haven't you done it? Anything worth it is worth working for it. You have to do what you don't want to do so you can do what you want to do. That's ownership, going after it. You know, I have a student council leadership curriculum called Own It. And the motto is students taking ownership, schools being changed. That's what I wish for you guys. Taking ownership and you creating change from the inside. So think about what you have and think about what you want to do with it. And remember, the greatest things to own aren't things at all. They're opportunities. Own it.